going on? Welcome to Teasing the NFL. I'm Daniel Saludo, and here with Andrew Chang.
What's up?
The Conference Championships week. AFC and NFC winners go to the Super Bowl, but we will get to that in just a minute. We have to review last week, which was quite mixed for each of us. It was rough to watch. I'll start on my side. So for the no sweat bets, I bet last week. I bet Kansas City minus 3.5. I said minus 3.5 on Kansas City and +2 with Green Bay. That was a winner. He had the opposite, pretty much. He had Baltimore minus 3.5.
Sorry, America.
And
Let you
Houston
down.
plus 15.5.
Jeez.
Okay, I'll tell you this. Vegas made so much money off of the Baltimore bet
And me.
because so many people bet Baltimore with a lot of teasers. Now, Vegas made up for it on the national championship, which I failed on because I bet Clemson in the under. So that one backfired on me. But they originally made all the money back with the Baltimore bet. And a lot of people went in with Houston as well. Houston over a touchdown and then teasing it up over a field goal was a really nice thing to do. And I didn't blame you. Both of them were really good choices, but
Danny, you're a gentleman and a scholar, man.
But I told you, in my preference in this Houston versus KC, I'm gonna take the team who's gonna win. Now that's Houston's own fault because they were up 24-0, and him and I are texting when this is going nuts. And by the end of the first quarter, I'm texting him like, all right, well, there goes my $200 bet.
And then, you know what I said? I said, you know what? Tom Brady came back from 3-28. I didn't mean to shoot myself in the foot now. I said, look, Danny, you got a chance.
Yeah.
You know, like, I didn't want my friend to lose per se, but inside, as a Texans fan, as someone who bet on the Texans,
Yeah.
I was just like, you're telling me, what was it? It was 24.
It's 24-0.
24-0, and there was like, whether you had plus 15, plus 16, whatever. I was like, damn, they got to score like
40-something points.
40-some unanswered points. 40-some. That's 7 touchdowns and a field goal, and then some, all right?
And that doesn't include the fact that Houston could score another touchdown.
I'm just going to stop right there.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't watch the game, what I like to call
Go watch the
second
highlights.
quarter massacre, it was ridiculous.
It was the first quarter massacre, and then KC shot themselves in the foot, and then it was the second quarter massacre because Houston shot themselves in the foot. The difference is, and I told you this, I want the better coach. I want Andy Reid over Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien made nothing, did absolutely nothing in the second half at all.
You know what? Actually, I'm putting my 2 weeks at a Sage and apply to be the Texans head coach.
I know, right, dude?
I think
it feels like we could both be better
I think
choices.
anybody is qualified for that job. It's just, and defensively, the Texans did nothing. It was actually KC's drop balls in the
KC
first
made more
quarter.
mistakes than anything else. 2 drops, a fumble, and a block punt. That's what really the scoring. That's where the scoring came from.
Yeah, and then that and what Danny said about that home field advantage. That
It's
was
huge.
There was no
It's
advantage
huge.
at all in the first quarter. Those guys were quiet.
Yeah.
You could hear church mice running through the halls. It was unbelievable.
But once you felt like they got a touchdown, Casey gets a touchdown, you kind of felt like, okay, now they're gonna. This is gonna start rolling down the hill, and it's gonna snowball.
Well,
and
it
snowballed.
It would have been okay if we would have answered with a touchdown of our own, or we would have answered with the field goal of our own. We did nothing.
We didn't answer
like
anything
that.
until the third quarter, late in the third quarter. But so that was
A
a
good
no
win,
sweat.
Danny. Good win.
It was an easy choice in my opinion. That one you didn't really have to sweat about, but I did in the end. I mean, because I'm always gonna sweat.
No, he didn't
that.
sweat.
That never changes.
He didn't sweat at the end. He sweat at the beginning.
No, but I'm always gonna sweat regardless. I'm always gonna sweat regardless. Yeah, so
man.
those were our no sweat bets. But then when it came to betting on the day on Saturday, we both decided to do the split of bet on a Saturday combination and then a Sunday combination. So I went with San Francisco and Baltimore because I felt like both teams being at home had a really good chance to win. So San Francisco made it easy, really easy. But Baltimore just what happened, man?
I have no idea. Maybe they just
5
took too long of a break.
There was
Yeah,
5
it was.
turnovers in the game. It was crazy.
Lamar had 2 interceptions
Yep.
after. Dude, it was unreal.
Yeah.
It was unreal. But you talk about the preparation. Actually, the Titans surprised me a lot.
The Titans were the Titans. I actually didn't think they would be able to run as well
Oh, Derrick
on
Henry has just
Baltimore,
been.
but he's a monster.
Yo,
We'll see. We'll see how he does this week.
Woo-hoo! Yeah, we will. We'll get into that. But, looking at that game, I was kind of like, well, I had already lost because I bet on the Vikings.
Yeah, he had the Vikings, so he lost that part. But then he split. Then he did a split for Saturday, Sunday. So he took Baltimore. So he had Minnesota, Baltimore, and then he had in the second bet Baltimore and Houston. Well, we know the Houston result. And what's crazy is that we got an extra. He got an extra half point because Houston from the guy that we get it from was +10. So now you've got 2 touchdowns. You got over 2 touchdowns. You've got a touchdown and 3 field goals. You can put that in any combination. That's technically 2 touchdowns with 2 2-point conversions. So it's just mad to think about it. And
it's a lot.
You can ask him. I was fuming because of the Baltimore game, and so I knew KC was a gimme. I knew KC was going to win, but I had to sit there and deliberate about the Green Bay Seattle game. And the line that we got was Green Bay.
Woo!
And the line we got was Green Bay -5. So I wasn't really getting any value other than the fact that I said it before. I said I feel like Green Bay is going to win this game by hook or by crook. They're going to win it, and it went a little different than what I thought it would because I really didn't expect Green Bay to get out way ahead. But I mean, I'll take it how I get. But by the fourth quarter, when the fourth quarter was rolling, I'm like, oh no, here comes Russell Wilson. Here he goes. He's gonna be rocket high. Dude, and they can't stop him.
He was one score possession away.
It was a touchdown away. That was 4-point difference, and I was celebrating. Side note: that was also my very first $200 win. I've lost every $200 bet or $220 on it.
Danny, I just lost my house this past weekend. Okay, so congratulations. All right, congratulations.
It's all right. We're a conference championship.
Oh, that's okay. I'm about to win it back right now.
Yeah,
so
we'll quickly go over the record. That put him on the individual picks at 1-3. That moved him to 48-22. I went 3-1. My total now is 51-19 on individual teasers. On combined teasers that we bet on and the no sweat bet, he is now even at 8-8 because he missed all 3 of his. God. And I am 10-6 now because I got 2 out of 3 of mine. So
I'm just as good as the Cowboys. That's so
You're better than the Cowboys.
That's so bad.
You're better than the Cowboys.
That's so
You know
bad.
why? Because you don't have Jason Garrett. So you're much better than him, man.
Come
you
on,
got
man.
much better than that.
That's ice cold, dude. That's ice cold.
Oh, heck yeah, it is. All right, so
come on, man.
we're gonna break down these 2 games. And
you don't have a job no more, man. Come
yeah,
on,
see,
dude.
at least you do. At least you do. At least you do.
Yeah, at least I do.
This beautiful job right here.
Thank God. Thank God. Jesus. Keep eating the sushi and sake, people.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go for it, Danny.
So we're gonna break both of these games down, but I'm gonna force you to pick not only a side, but you have to pick an over/under.
So, I could have seen that coming.
Yeah, because we need a little more, and I wanted us to really think about and get that information out on over/unders because usually we don't bet a lot of over/unders. So with there being less games to bet out there, you kind of either have to force yourself to do an over/under, go with the money line, or player props. So first game is I think it's 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. It's Tennessee at Kansas City. This spread is Kansas City -7. The total is up to 53 right now. Tennessee gets teased up to 13, and Kansas City gets teased down to -1. The over gets teased down to 47, and the under gets teased up to the mighty number of 59. 59 points. That is 30. That is like 28-30.
Damn.
That is 28-30. So this spread started at 7. It went up to 7.5 yesterday, and then it got back down to 7. So a lot of people were starting to bet on Tennessee when they saw 7.5. The total also started at about 50. I think it was 50 or 50.5 is where it started at, and it's slowly been moving up because they're expecting this game to really shoot out per se. So I don't know if it's going to be a shootout. Albeit if you look at the last game, it was like 33-36 or something when they played each other in week 10, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and Tennessee won that game, of course.
Scary.
It's a little scary, but that was the first game that Patrick Mahomes got back. So it's a moot point. Like I told you last week, it was only Mahomes' second game back when he played Houston. So, and he proved that, if he really goes out there and just guns it, he can gun it into his guys. I mean, that was ridiculous. And it was crazy to watch. That game was crazy to watch because, Kelsey dropped 2 balls and then he's like, okay, I got to turn this on. And God, he turned it on, dude.
Well, not only everybody was dropping balls, man. The receivers were dropping balls. Tyreek Hill dropped the ball. Yeah. It was bad.
Yeah,
it was bad.
So I don't know what Andy Reid told them in the second quarter, but they flipped the switch and boom, they were off to the races after that.
Yeah, just probably like, guys, they're not beating us. Yeah. We're beating ourselves right now. Pick your shit up. Let's go. Like, you guys are better than this. And then second quarter, it's like the biggest comeback of the year in one quarter.
Yeah,
in one quarter. 1 quarter. Think about it.
And the craziest part is, and I called him on the phone because I was on the road when I was listening to the game, and I heard about the fake punt. And I said, this changes the game. This dumb idea that you should run a fake punt when you're up by 17.
I just want to know, what was the logic behind it? First of all, he wasted a timeout.
Yeah.
Second of all, if you weren't going to go for it on 4th and 1, what makes you want to go for it on 4th and 4?
Yeah, exactly. Because they kicked the field goal on the 4th and 1, yet they decided to fake punt on 4th and 4. It makes absolutely no sense.
I'm not the smartest guy in the shed, by any means.
You're a lot smarter than Bill O'Brien at this point.
God, dude. I can't anymore. But I don't know about this nice little Tennessee and Kansas City. Derrick Henry has just been trucking people.
Do you know Deion Lewis did not have a single touch in that game? It was all Derrick Henry. For the running backs. Obviously, Tannehill ran a couple times himself, but Deion Lewis had 0 touches.
Was he?
He was on the field. He was on the field for like
any
blocking.
RPO plays or what?
No.
Yeah, not from what I saw.
No, not from what I remember either. But Henry, I think, had like 35 touches, 180 yards, something like that. So
and just about 4 or 5 yards per touch. Because what?
I mean, he's a truckload. He's literally a truckload. He hits the first guy, runs him over, and then stacks on with the second guy, and then he goes down.
I think he did what? 100, 180 yards?
So I think it was 180 yards. Because it was 185 against New England. But there's a really interesting fact about the Tennessee-Baltimore game, and that is that if you look at the stats, Baltimore had like over 400 yards.
I know.
Total.
Yep.
And basically Tennessee capitalized on all of those mistakes and turnovers and scored off of all of those. So you have to kind of ask yourself, if Baltimore doesn't shoot themselves in the foot, is this game different? Is that game different?
I think, they just couldn't finish into the end zone. And, I mean, the first score was like Justin Tucker, JT, as I like to say. But it was just unbelievable, the fact that, they would march down and then not score.
Yeah.
And then after that first interception, I thought, okay, this could be the beginning of the end.
Yeah, once it got to 14 and then they just weren't going anywhere. It was rough to watch Lamar Jackson in that first quarter because he just could not get anything going.
And actually, you know what? You could see him visibly frustrated. Not only that, but the Tennessee defense actually played a really big part in there too.
Oh yeah.
There was this one play I saw where they anticipated him scrambling to the right, and that whole defense shifted to the right.
Yep.
So they knew that this guy was gonna roll right. That he's an amazing guy. He'll break your ankles, this and that. So that's why they had the whole line help, and you're telling me none of those receivers were open. Nobody was open. They couldn't get open. So Tennessee was doing something.
And they committed a ton of drops. Seth Roberts had a couple drops.
Yeah.
Willie Snead had a couple drops. So it was rough going for them. So with all of that information in mind and thinking about how red hot essentially KC has been, at least in my opinion, I feel like I'm expecting KC to win this game, so I have to take KC at -1 just because it's, hey, go win the game.
I mean,
the only thing you worry about is somehow Tennessee holding on to the ball for a long time, keeping Mahomes out of rhythm basically and controlling the clock, but I don't think that's going to happen because KC's run defense is actually pretty decent looking from last game. So
yeah, but I mean just I don't know if I was given the Ravens too much credit or not giving Tennessee enough
told
credit. So I feel like the way they prepare for these games, it was actually really good preparation.
Yeah, excellent.
I just thought, it was like, wow, like they literally shut him down. They cut off his route to run. They covered his receivers. Literally, the offense in Baltimore was stagnant. Yeah, they weren't going
very stagnant
anywhere. And I was just like, dude, they held him down.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, different story.
Totally different story. Can air it out along with on the ground.
This guy is the comeback kid. No, okay, so even if we took away maybe the 2 free ones that the Texans got and they gave it right back.
Yeah, they gave it right back. It was even.
Even if it was even, he was just throwing them.
He couldn't miss. It felt like he couldn't miss after a while.
He wasn't bad the entire game. It was just that everyone was dropping.
They were dropping balls in the first quarter. His scrambling and running was really good. Got himself a couple first downs. So that was the key.
I see it now, Dan. I see why you on KC now.
It's hard not to be on him, especially at -1. And you worry about one of the things you worry about with Tennessee is that if they really can't get the running game going, then they have to throw it. And then you worry about can Tannehill. Then you go back to Tannehill. Can he do it? They don't really have a really great star wide receiver. I mean, you got young A.J. Brown, who was red hot.
Oh yeah,
going at the end of the season. But KC's secondary is actually quite good. And D-Hop had a pretty good game, but I mean, they essentially shut down most of the air in Houston. So why, if Houston's got D-Hop, Will Fuller, and Kenny Stills, why can't KC shut down A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, and Jonnu Smith?
Yeah, that's true. I just feel like their main thing is Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
they got to be thinking about Derrick Henry.
It's going to be a lot of Derrick Henry.
Yeah. No doubt. I mean, Deion Lewis, we can brush him to the side, but Derrick Henry, once he's on the field, you got to respect the run.
But you have to guess that if Kansas City takes a 14-point lead, they may start to abandon the run a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
even in the first quarter, if KC takes a 14-0 lead, they're going to have to slowly throw the ball a little bit more, and I think that's very problematic.
Yeah, I just think I like KC too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just frustrates me because I am a Texans fan. I know these guys just beat us to a pulp, but we deserve it, man. It was
I agree.
It was no one's fault but the Texans that they lost.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter how good, if it was Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, or Patrick Mahomes. If we had that lead. All we had to do was sit on it. Mm-hmm. You act like you don't have the momentum of the game when you have the ball. You certainly do.
Well, it's not just that. You got to make adjustments. You got to know they're going to come out firing after a while. So you got to come back. You got to find a way to control the game. You got to find a way to slow their air game down a little bit.
And the Texans failed to do that. But I don't think that Tennessee would make the same mistakes we did. But I still am going to go with KC -1.
KC -1. I'm also going with KC -1.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it's almost a no-brainer to take Patrick Mahomes at -1.
But could you imagine a dark horse? Oh
it could.
God.
It really
oh
could.
my God, dude!
I'm not saying it's out of the question, but you have to look in terms of value. In terms of value, to just say Patrick Mahomes, go win a game for me. Yeah, I'm gonna want that a lot.
Or the guy who was asleep in the regular season comes on in the postseason, Derrick Henry. Hey, take this, go to the end zone. Yeah. Please,
that's the
take
only
this,
thing.
go to the end zone. So. I mean, because this guy can break off.
Yeah.
And that's what he did to the Ravens too.
Yeah. He just chunk yard after chunk yard after chunk yard. That's what he did in New England as well.
Yep. You get a 5-yard play, a 6-yard play, and then all of a sudden you go 15, and then after that 15, it's like 30. It's a touchdown. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
But
totals, you got to pick an over and under.
Leading that, I think this total right here, I'm going to take the over.
I see, and I guessed you were going to take the over. I filled in all of his information on the spreadsheet.
Come on,
because I kind of, I guessed at what he's doing based off of how I kind of know how he thinks and how he bets a little bit more now since we've been doing the show.
Oh,
it's been a lot. This is fun to fill in all of your
stuff.
So
I'm not predictable,
I knew he was going to pick KC, and I knew he was going to pick.
You did this. Oh,
so I'm taking the under. I'm expecting this game to have a little more control. So I mean, yes, we saw Patrick Mahomes put up 51. he would have covered the over on his own. pretty much.
Unbelievable.
I don't think, Mike Vrabel's a defensive guy. He's a linebacker, so he is very defensive minded. I think he's smart. He comes from Belichick, knows how to really isolate and not necessarily shut down an offense.
I mean, he comes from O'Brien too, just to let you know.
But I
the Belichick tree, it doesn't fall far in the AFC.
Very
it doesn't
true.
fall far.
Very true. I mean, it is. But I'm expecting this game to be kind of close for the most part, and probably a few more field goals than most people expect. And more field goals means under, and 59 is a big number.
Oh, you like the under?
Yeah, I like the under a little bit more. I think this is going to be a little more of a controlled game. I mean, Tennessee will chew some clock because they will run the ball. But KC will find a way to keep the offense going. And I think I consider both of these defenses kind of close-ish. KC is probably about half step above Tennessee, but both still have really good defenses. So I feel like with enough clock chewing, two pretty good defenses playing against each other, regardless of how good the offenses are, you don't have to stop them from making touchdowns for an under. You just need them to make a few more field goals. That's all it is. So that's why I'm going. And 59 is a huge number. 30 to 28 gets you. 30 to 29, 30 to 28 gets you there. So I mean, it's crazy.
Question: what was the under for the Texans and KC?
53. No, 57.
57.
Yeah, the under was 57 teased. The
Wow.
teaser, the over/under straight up was 51, and then you teased it up to.
You'd be dead at
57.
halftime.
Yeah, you were dead at halftime.
You were dead at halftime.
You were. I touched you. I said this killed the over. This killed the over by halftime. Yeah, because it was 52 at halftime. Yeah.
Wow, unbelievable. Yeah, but it's just like, who would have imagined that the Texans would have scored that much? But
Nobody did.
Exactly. Well, minus those two free ones.
Yeah, block punt and
31. We would have only scored 17 because the
17.
final score was 31-51.
Yeah, and take 14 away.
And by the way, Texans, y'all gave up on the last play.
Yeah.
Very, very upset.
Because we were watching it, I'm like, hey,
Very
they can still cover.
They
still cover.
They should have.
Yeah.
Dude, don't get me started.
Yeah.
We're moving on.
Yeah, so
We're on to Green Bay right now.
on the Green Bay.
We're on to Green Bay.
So KC -1 is both of our choices. I prefer the under at 59. He prefers the over at 47.
It's gonna be a
So we will
scoring
move
game,
on,
man.
but we can't move on to Green Bay because it's not in Green Bay. We gotta go to San Francisco.
We're moving on to San Fran, guys.
Moving on to San Fran. In the
We're on to
NFC
San Fran.
Championship, it is the San Francisco 49ers playing the Green Bay Packers. San Francisco is the favorite at 7.5. The total is 46.5. Green Bay gets teased up to 13.5, and San Francisco gets teased down to -1.5. The over gets teased down to 40.5, and the under gets teased up to 52.5. So this game has stayed at 7.5 the entire time since the opening lines on Monday, but the total has creeped up every day by about half a point to a point. So it opened at 44 or 43, I think. And it's been slowly getting there. And it was 46 up until about 5 hours ago. Right now, it's almost midnight, Friday midnight here. So about 5-6 hours ago, it crept up over 46.5. So people are expecting a little bit more action. I mean, getting an over at 43 was really nice. And some people do tease it down underneath that key number of 40. On a total, so that looks really nice. So a lot more people are expecting a little more offense in this game, especially since San Francisco put up 28 and Green Bay put up 24? 28? Was it 28?
What for?
Against Seattle.
Your damn Aaron Jones. It was 28-23.
Yeah. So yeah, they put up 28. So both teams put up 28, and that's why more people are betting the over a little bit more. They're expecting a little more offense. But we'll jump to the sides first. Aaron and I told them this, and you guys all noticed. I said, this is the playoffs. This is Aaron Rodgers. I want all of Aaron Rodgers at home in Lambeau. And we got all of Aaron Rodgers at home in Lambeau. They struggled a little bit in the third quarter.
Oh, they sure did. They were starting to sweat at the point.
I was like, this is not going good for me at all. This could backfire if another touchdown gets scored.
You know what? I was just like, okay, it's one thing about the record, it's another thing about your friend winning money. So, of course, I wanted him to win. But at the same time, I was like, bro, I kind of need this to cover my Seattle, too. Else I'll go 0-4 that week. And I was like, I haven't.
I told you it was cover. I told you that was the game that was most likely. That was the game that most likely have both teasers cover. And it was. It was the only game in the divisional round that had both. That had not just both spread teasers covered, it covered all 4 teasers.
Danny, don't make me look like an amateur, okay? Like I felt very strongly that Love Muscle Russell would have.
Yeah, because you would have gotten with the teaser at Seattle plus 5, you would have gotten it over 11. You would have gotten that up to 11, so that's over 10. Which is not a key number per se, but that's a nice number to have it over. So you would have, I would have said, yeah, man, it's a really great choice because I'm expecting, and I said it, I expect this game to be under a touchdown, and it was.
So your boy, Playoff Rodgers.
Playoff Rodgers, man, absolutely. And I said you only need the big 3. You need Rodgers, Adams, and Jones.
And Adams showed up big that game.
Jones didn't have a great game, but he punched in twice. Couple good receptions. The key to that game was really Green Bay's defense. Green Bay was just all over Russell Wilson. They couldn't get a lot of sacks, obviously.
They stepped up.
Yep. But they were all over Russell Wilson. He was running for his life.
Not in a good way either.
Yeah. So the opposite of that is you have San Francisco, who, if you look at the game at halftime, they were neck and neck. And then after the half, going through the third quarter, I don't know what happened to the Vikings, but they really fell off. I know Cousins threw a pick, and it was all spiraling.
That was the beginning of the end.
San Francisco's run with Tevin Coleman was just on fire because the Vikings have been so good against the run for the most part during the season that most people weren't expecting the ground game to really be effective. But Kyle Shanahan changed the blocking scheme a little bit and got Tevin Coleman just running.
He really goes with a hot hand, too.
Yeah, he absolutely does. If one guy breaks out the big run, he's going to stick with him.
Yep. It's like, all right, Mostert, you're not starting anymore. Like this,
you've only gotten me 6 yards on 2 carries. The other guy's going.
Other guy's going. Dude, they just lit it up.
They just lit him up. So looking at the sides here, I am going to stand by what I say. Even though these two teams played each other in the regular season, a couple factors in that game. Number one, Green Bay didn't have their full offensive line. Number two, Green Bay, that was their third road game. That was their 3 of 4 road games in a row. So they had a lot of traveling to do. They had a lot to do. And the defense was still trying to re-gel at that point. And I don't know if they had Devontae Adams that game either, come to think of it. Or it might have been his first game back. But we all know that San Francisco blew them out at home. So one of the interesting things I heard is that Green Bay is going to try and come out like guns a-blazing because obviously Green Bay failed to do anything in that first game, so that means they have to come back, they have to make adjustments, they make changes. San Francisco may not be ready for that. So,
yeah, I can agree with that. My thing is with San Fran being home, I think, well, technically, this is Jimmy G's first playoff.
This is his second
playoff series.
This is
first. Technically, when he was on the Patriots, Tom Brady, he didn't play.
Yeah, he didn't play, but
still.
last week was his first playoff game, and he had an okay game. It wasn't a great game. He didn't have to do much.
Stellar.
So I'm very curious to see if the run game doesn't get going, what he can do. He had a lot more freedom in the first game because the game was just wide open. And at that point, by the time they got out of halftime in that game, it kind of felt like Green Bay wasn't really trying because they didn't really need to, and it's paid off for them in the end.
Yeah. I think your choice might surprise me, actually.
Are you going with Green Bay? Are you taking playoff Rodgers, man? Am I gonna have to change this real quick?
Yeah, I think
so. Man, dude. You are screwed.
No, I'm so screwed.
You're so screwed.
Hey,
this is the guy who sits on cameras and be like,
Green
Bay, Aaron Rodgers. I can't win anything with him.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's me. But at the same time, you are taking the words out of
nearly
Danny's mouth right there.
touchdowns.
2 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers.
And this game can still move. This is only Friday right now. This is early Friday. By the time Sunday comes, if this game goes to 8, I mean, if this game goes to 8, holy smokes, I'm going to be all over Green Bay so fast.
Yeah. I think that's a good plan. With San Fran, oh God, I can see us swinging their way too, though. Because they got some really good defense.
So this is different from the AFC game, because in the AFC game, I'm fully expecting KC to win. So I want the Teaser down to 1 and just say, just win me the game. I'm a little worried that Tennessee just dominates the ground and Patrick Mahomes can't play consistently and get clicking with the offense. But I'm about like 95% sure Kansas City is going to win. In this case, I worry a little bit more about San Francisco because it's not just a toss-up. You've got two different quarterbacks at different ends of the spectrum. You got Rodgers, Super Bowl winner, future Hall of Famer, and you got Jimmy G, it's his first playoffs, it's his second playoff game in total, starting. So
understudied.
This is a case of Green Bay not only has a chance to win, they're a live dog. They are a very live underdog in this case, to the point where if you feel like Green Bay is going to do this,
here comes the money line.
You should run a little bit with the money line here. The reason why is because statistics, trends and angle statistics show that don't look at the spread here. Just pick who's going to win the game.
All right.
So if you are picking somebody who's going to win the game and they're the dog, don't worry about the spread. Still bet the spread or tease it like we do. But if you are going to say Green Bay is going to win this game, run the money line, because that is the most positive EV that you're going to get out there by far. And at plus 290, almost 3 to 1, it might be worth it to sprinkle just a little bit on there.
Yep, 50 here, 50 there.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
And here's what's interesting. I thought about this a couple hours ago when we bet week 17. We bet the money line on Washington against the Cowboys. They got blown out. Yep. But if we think about it in hindsight and put both the teams next to each other, obviously Dallas was a much better team. But here you're talking about the playoffs. Here you're talking about Aaron Rodgers. A very live team that is that just wants to go to the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is 1 game away against a young,
that's crazy in itself,
San Francisco team.
Yep.
So we are getting nearly the same value. We're getting not nearly the same value, but a much better chance of a team winning in Green Bay. So that's why the money line feels like if very live right now.
Yeah, dude, just Green Bay. It still kind of scares me.
It does, because
get me wrong.
It's really worrying to watch that team and sit there and Devontae Adams gets 12 passes. Rodgers has to run a couple times. Only each of the other receivers only gets 1 pass, and then Aaron Jones has to carry and run the ball as well. That's their entire offense. So you're basically saying I need the defense to really step up, and they did last time. And I feel like that every time Green Bay's defense has needed to step up and rise to the occasion, they really have. Yeah. So, and the other thing is, another fact is that Green Bay should have their entire offensive line intact. So, I mean, that San Francisco pass rush is freaking killer. But they will be able to, Green Bay will be able to block them just a little bit better.
You know what? Yeah, looking at the Vikings and San Fran game, I was surprised. First of all, I always thought that the San Fran defense was kind of overrated.
A little bit. The problem that they have is they don't necessarily do well against the run. They're just a really good pass rushing team. That front seven is really good at getting at the quarterback.
Well, yeah, you got the old Seahawk, Richard Sherman.
Yeah, Sherman can still cover.
He got the pick.
Against
Kirk Cousins, which killed me. So, But looking at this defense right here, and looking at the totals.
Yeah, so we both like Green Bay plus 13.5, and I'm praying very hard that Green Bay gets to 8, because that gives us a clean 14, which is great value always. So I'm gonna let him cook on this for a second. I like the under in this game as well, because this I'm picturing quite the defensive game here, and I don't really expect San Francisco's offense to get going. And if I'm predicting Green Bay to win this game, I'm expecting not only a close game, I'm expecting a lower scoring game, probably in the mid-30s.
Mid-30s.
Yeah.
Like
That's my prediction.
16, 14?
More like 20-17.
And what was the score on the Vikings in San Fran?
28-10. But take away one interception, that's a touchdown.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man.
The game was extremely close at halftime. And so basically what you're doing is you're replacing Green Bay and Rodgers with the Vikings and Minnesota, with Cousins in Minnesota. And I almost guarantee you that Rodgers won't be making those same mistakes. So with that in mind, with the game being that close at halftime, Rodgers is going to have a real good chance to come back and win.
That, and I don't think San Fran's offensive line is too good either. They were letting those
They're
Vikings
good run blockers. They're good run blockers. They're not as good at pass blocking.
Right. They were letting a couple Vikings go through that game. So, I mean, well, if I had to choose.
Yep, you got to choose. I'm picking the over.
You picked the over?
No, I picked the under. Sorry.
Oh,
I picked the under.
I was like, no, you didn't.
It's funny. I picked both unders in both of these matchups.
You know what? I'm going to go for the over on this one.
Yeah, he's going to take the 40 and a half actually isn't too bad of a choice. I'm not against it because 20-21 gets you there.
Yep,
20-21 gets you there, and it could easily get there. If I'm, like I said, if I'm expecting a close game like I am here, then yeah, 20-21 definitely gets you there. This is the game, and I'm going to throw this prediction out there. This is the game that has all 4 teasers hit.
Oh, I love it. I love being right when everyone else is right too. God.
But yeah, you know what we need in the Green Bay San Francisco game? Overtime.
OT, baby.
OT.
OT 20-20. That's
Oh
the OT.
my God, dude.
That would be amazing, right? How clutch would that be? And honestly, I think it can get us there. Taking back, I'm not taking back anything I said about Aaron Rodgers. I still don't like.
I don't blame you. I mean, watching that game, he had really good drives at the beginning of the game. He also had really good drives at the end of the game. It was the middle. It was like the third quarter, and I'm just scratching my head. I'm like, this isn't exactly Aaron Rodgers, and it's worrying me now because Russell Wilson's starting to come back. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, it was something else, but you know what? I can't take it away that he's been in this situation before. He knows
how to win these. He's done it once.
And I think, looking at that game against the Vikings, these 49ers are pretty confident. They're a little.
There's no doubt. I mean, Jimmy G gets his first win, and they perceive themselves as pretty dominant. So especially they're coming off. They had a huge win against Green Bay where they blew them out, and so they're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves, I think. Now, Shanahan's pretty disciplined, and I think he's going to get his guys ready, but how mentally ready are the guys going to be when they're on the field is the question.
Right. And you can always tell someone to feel a certain way, but in their heads, like, really? Like, we beat these guys like a drum, and it's like, dude, they're the same team. Like, we're just going to do the same thing. And if they fall into that mindset, then I like Green Bay.
I do too.
And with Green Bay's mindset, they're just like, guys, we're the dogs here, all right? We're going up against a team that has just almost smoked everybody in the league, just with their defense and just having those goal line stops. That defense has been pretty stellar.
It kind of almost feels like Green Bay wants to be the underdog and barely win their games and have questions and be questioned because then that motivates them. Like the defense gets really motivated. Like, we're gonna go out there. We're gonna get like 10 sacks on Jimmy G.
Oof.
Yeah. That could very possibly happen. My worry with Green Bay is they only have 3 weapons, and that's it.
Yep.
That's my one worry.
Someone's got to step up. Get your jersey, Daniel.
So
I'm flying
both of us like Green Bay plus 13.5. I prefer the under at 52.5. He prefers the over at 40.5. Now I'm threw this out there. I said do not be surprised if all 4 of these in this game all 4 teasers hit. Please. I would not be surprised at all. Also in the Tennessee and KC game, do not be surprised if both spread teasers hit. Because if KC wins by a touchdown, both spreads hit on the teaser.
That's true. Yeah, and I think they'll probably win by a touchdown.
Yeah.
I need them to win by a touchdown. I think that's what I'm going to bet for. So
yeah. So I mean, that's
sorry, Texans. I'm so sorry. Actually, you know what?
Money.
I'm not sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sorry.
Y'all did this to yourselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
I'm not sorry. You guys are professionals. You're supposed to wake up and play the game the entire 60 minutes, not just 15 minutes.
God. I'm sorry that we have a coach like Bill O'Brien.
They
sorry.
gotta fire him. They gotta fire him.
Call Gary Kubiak, man. He's doing great things with the Ravens. Yep. Obviously, they're doing something right until they got to the playoffs.
All right, so before we get to the no sweat bets, but you guys have a pretty good idea of what our no sweat bets are going to be, but we'll go over them real quick. I want to jump to the Super Bowl odds because the Westgate already has the pre-books out there for each matchup, regardless of who wins.
All my teams are gone.
Yeah, all of your teams are gone, and both my picks on each side are still alive.
Oh yeah, you picked Green Bay.
And somebody to my right still owes me a future.
Yes.
I could have had. I could have had beginning at the playoffs, and I suggested it to everybody. I said, Kansas City plus 400 is a great number. I was on Kansas City before the playoffs. Week 15 to week 16 is when I said this is the Kansas City bandwagon. You need to jump on it now because it's no longer bandwagon. It is a freaking Ferrari that is going to blow down the track.
Oh man, a Ferrari! Yeah. Oh come on, man.
It is so.
Italian designer, no substance, crap car.
Whatever.
Okay.
All right, name your sports car then, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Name a sports car that resembles Patrick Mahomes. Let's go with the Lamborghini SUV.
Okay. All right.
Just trucking everybody in style.
All right.
Just saying. But I wouldn't take one of those either.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So Kansas City is now the Super Bowl favorite to win. The odds are 7-5, which means they are plus 140, from 400 when the wild card started to 140. That's how much this has changed. San Francisco is right behind them at odds at 3-2, which is plus 150, and then the gap from there is a giant leap. So Green Bay is still a pretty big dog at 7-1 plus 700, and Tennessee is a even bigger dog at 8-1 plus 800.
That's a dark horse right there.
Here's the insanity. If you think about this, when the playoffs started, Tennessee was 10 times that. Tennessee was 80-1. They were plus 8,000.
So whoever had put money on Tennessee, they're just like,
oh
my God,
they were plus 8,000. They were plus 8,000 on that Tuesday, Wednesday. But Green Bay was plus 1,000. I said that's really great value. 10-1 on Aaron Rodgers is really, really good value. You know, put $10 on, you win 100.
I know awesome. You ain't putting $10
So
on
looking at the Super Bowl odds now amongst all the teams, who would you take your Super Bowl odds on right now? God. I just want to see this real quick.
You know, because I see Kansas City beating the Titans. Mm-hmm. Just like how my clairvoyant ass saw the Texans beating KC, because I was so right about that. Oh my God, I just can't let it. I can't
let it go. I know,
guys. Honestly, the best thing that happened to me last week was probably looking at our video and watching the intro. Besides that, the whole video was just
you guys
trash
like the intro?
coming from me.
Please let us know if you like the intro or not. It was hard to find that intro and get the music on it, but I told him, I was like, you're gonna love this intro, man. It's gonna get you like hyped.
It was hype. It was the truth. I was like, wow, I want to watch this show a little more now. Just a little bit. But, you know, every little bit helps. We're just in development right now. But I thought that was a really nice touch. Going back to the Super Bowl picks, I feel that if KC can keep this up, they got it.
It's theirs, yeah. I would agree. Even though the number's not that great, I feel just like I was confident 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago on KC. I'm still very high on them to just win out. Now, if you're asking me for pure value, it's Green Bay plus 700. For pure value, and I said that when they were at plus 1,000, but I was much more leaning towards Kansas City because they just feel like the hot team that is catching fire at the right time, late in the season, and they take that momentum into the playoffs.
I was going to chime in on Danny's Green Bay pick because I actually like it. Mm-hmm. I actually think that it will be close between Green Bay and San Fran.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons why I am picking Green Bay at plus 13.5 or plus 14, whatever the line comes out to. And for that reason, if they advance, if I win my money line on Green Bay, then oh God, am I going to say it?
Go ahead.
I think I would like Green Bay over KC.
Wow. You heard it here. Holy smokes.
You know what? That's if. Well, yeah. I just
All right. It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue against it because I mean you talk about KC on a good run when Green Bay gets going.
They're hard to stop too.
That's a really good team. Not necessarily just to stop, but just to beat.
Yeah.
Because you don't necessarily have to stop them per se to win. You got to beat them, and that means beating Discount Double Check, and that's tough.
That's super tough. Well, I mean, for some,
Yeah.
it's tough, but yeah, Green Bay. I cannot believe I'm falling in line with Danny's logic, but the logic is sound, and if it didn't make sense, it doesn't make dollars, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at all these odds, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why. But I don't see San Fran really as a complete team yet.
I don't think so either. They don't have like a really great star wide receiver. They have to run the hot hand with the running backs. The quarterback is still working his way up there, and he's definitely made really good progress. But I just feel like they have a really good chance to win. They're a favorite for a reason because of their defense. But if anything's going to stop San Francisco, it's going to be their offense.
Flipping the script though, we're talking about Green Bay is not as good of a team as everyone thinks they are either. We can say that
for the most
too.
part, yes.
Right?
My answer is Green Bay gets the job done.
Right? I mean, wins are wins.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Yeah.
Winning.
I say this all the time:
winning.
3-0, 30-0, 30-33. You take the win how it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, and when you're teasing Green Bay to 13.5, you're not asking them to win. You want them to win just because that feels like insurance. But man, you got to get like blown out like they did last time, and I just don't see it happening.
Oof. And even if they do start to get blown out, then you really
Well,
like that. You really like that plus 14.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because when you got Green Bay in this situation, they're not going to give up until the clock hits 0. They're just going to have to go for it regardless.
Thank God.
Yeah.
That's
so, if they're down 20, if they're down like 16, they're going to go and try and get in the end zone, and then a touchdown gets you to 11.
not like those damn Texans. Yeah. If they would have gotten one more touchdown, would have been in the clear. But Baltimore killed us anyway.
That killed that one anyways. So we will move on to the no sweat bet. You notice that I actually don't call it the teaser lock anymore.
I know, right? You coined my term.
It's starting to catch up to me a little bit more. It's starting to catch, and I'm starting to like it a little bit more. So.
And you know what? And the logic is there.
And the logic's there for the most part.
You wouldn't be sweating it.
I sweat anyways.
No,
that's my argument against
Danny,
it.
no. You trust me. After the second quarter KC game, you didn't sweat for shit. No, you did not.
Fair enough. But
You did
I was
not.
sweating. Okay, fine. I made up for it with the Green Bay game.
Okay, yeah.
I
Okay.
made up for it in the Green Bay game.
Okay, yeah. That touchdown would have. Okay, yeah.
That touchdown would have killed
That
it.
touchdown would have
I
messed.
mean, they
you
had
up.
enough time
Yep.
to go back and get a field goal, which would have covered it. But I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Just like, I was like, I'm on my couch. I'm just like, please stop him. Please stop him. Please stop him.
The no sweat bet is more like games about like the Baltimore. Like
This is almost. I mean, KC last week for me was like a gimme. It was really a gimme, and I was just like, I'm not gonna sweat about this right now. During the game, yes.
Man, I know you were sweating the first quarter.
I wasn't just sweating. I was cursing. I was giving up on life. I actually said that to you. I'm like, if this doesn't go through, I'm giving up on life. I'm like, swear to God.
First of all, this guy was like, oh, there goes my $20. I was like, Danny.
My 20, my 200.
No, that's what I said. My $20.
My 220.
I said, Danny, you have not one, not two, but 3 quarters to even out the score.
See, the problem I have is that I've watched so many teams fall behind so much and just get blown to pieces afterwards. Green Bay did it when they played San Francisco the first time. How many teams have just not been able to catch up to Baltimore? Yeah. I've seen it so many times that I'm just like, it's rough to come back for it. Now, obviously, Mahomes is a totally different animal, and I was saying that just out of frustration more than anything else. I knew I had time, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, man, this is just Deshaun Watson. This isn't like freaking,
Jay Cutler.
Yeah, this isn't Cutler. This isn't
He doesn't even play
Well, I'm
anymore.
trying to think of somebody who plays right now. I'm like,
You know, I saw him on a Dos Equis commercial.
that's terrible. That's absolutely
He
terrible.
looks like an absolute bum now. Like, literally.
Who's a really mediocre quarterback right now? Like Case Keenum. This isn't like Case Keenum, who's actually
Ooh.
decent. You know?
Ouch. Who's a really mediocre quarterback? How about Eli Manning?
Yeah, no, he's terrible. Like, this isn't Daniel Jones or whoever. Jacoby Brissett. We'll throw him out there.
Oh, come
I mean,
on.
he's,
Come
I mean,
on,
but the
Jacoby.
truth, no, but the truth is, but he's like middle of the road because, you know, Indy's kind of middle of the road team right now.
You mean a mediocre quarterback like Ryan Tannehill?
He's good right now. He's not mediocre.
Oh, dang.
He's good. No, I was on this bandwagon way before you. I even told you to pick him up in fantasy.
And I didn't.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother thing.
Thank God I didn't get the Lamar Jackson that just played that week. I would have lost in fantasy, but dude, he was.
But I mean,
what a downturn.
Yeah, you just feel like if this is a quarterback who has a chance to make it, it's gonna be Mahomes more than any other quarterback out there, honestly. I just felt like in that moment, like this is KC, this is at home. Andy Reid's gonna figure something out. I'm gonna be biting my nails, but yeah.
I mean, technically, he was there last year.
Yeah.
I mean, without that
And
drive,
he was ahead in at home against New England. They really should have had it in OT. They actually should have closed it before OT, but that's a whole nother thing. But when you're confident about a bet, you shouldn't be sweating about it. I just say you're going to sweat regardless because anything can happen. Missed field goal, a fumble, whatever.
and that's exactly what I told him when he was like,
Backdoor
"Oh my
cover.
God,
a backdoor cover on a spread that kills you. That happens sometimes. I mean, theoretically, KC could have won by
Dallas
3.
and New York."
Don't get me started on that. Man.
That
That
was
was week 6. I was cursing so hard.
Oh man,
All he had to do was just trip over his own foot, and we would have been
I
fine.
burst through this door, and never have I wanted to leave so quickly. When I
You
came in,
should've
I
just
was
stayed
just
in
like,
the car. Should have just stayed in the car.
What did I just watch?
I know. I was like, what just happened?
Bring out that beer, Danny. We're gonna need it.
Beer. We were drinking whiskey out
Oh,
of that. Forget it.
dude, it was awful.
So no sweat bet. I think because we both picked the same sides on both of the games, I'm assuming both of our no sweat bets are KC -1 and Green Bay plus 13.5.
I think we're just gonna have to agree with each other because totals can just go either way.
Yeah, I don't feel insanely comfortable with either total. I just didn't want
You
to.
made me pick him, Danny. You made me pick him.
Yeah, I know. I just didn't want to give you guys just two things. I wanted us to really think about the numbers, the offenses versus the defenses, and where this game's going to swing. Because like in the Tennessee KC game, the game could easily be, as I say, it could easily be 20-17. It could also easily be 41-21.
Yeah.
So
you just don't know, but we're predicting because no one knows. Mm-hmm. I really do like giving Aaron Rodgers virtually two touchdowns.
Virtually 2 touchdowns.
I'll just say 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's 2 touchdowns, no extra points.
Right? And then
Harrison Butker did miss an extra point last week.
Oh God. And giving KC.
And KC, just tell KC go win it at home. Get to your Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's value right there. I think so.
So this is it for the playoffs, and then we move on to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. And that one I haven't figured out what we're gonna do with it yet. But having obviously we're gonna go over the sides, the spread, the totals, the money line, and everything. And I think I'm thinking about looking at player props and just listing out a bunch of player
props, heads or tails, over.
God, we are not doing something that's stupid.
Over under on the national anthem. That's my favorite. That is my favorite.
I want something that's actually logical and has numbers behind it. I don't.
First play being a safety. That's my favorite too.
I remember that Super Bowl very clearly.
And
I remember that one very clearly.
Let's see. There'll also be like there's plenty.
There's
so many props.
There's a million out there from like
first to score, first to get intercepted.
First fumble. There's some total yards. I mean, there's so many individual player props, team props, and all that. We may even go over first half, second half, stuff like that.
Yep. That's actually
it's
really
interesting.
good.
It's interesting.
Yeah, that's opening a new can of worms.
That's
I like it.
A little bit. I personally don't like to because then he says, "Do you want to hedge it in the second half?" I said, "No, you never hedge your bet, ever, never. Hedging equals losing money. Don't ever hedge." Never hedge your bet. It's the same thing as not taking insurance in blackjack. Do you ever take insurance in blackjack?
I do sometimes.
I do on occasion when I count, but rarely do I do it. The numbers have to match up, and hedging your bet generally means you lose EV, you lose money. So
EV,
yeah,
you lose money.
yeah. Minus EV means a loss of money.
Yeah, but usually if I have a guaranteed teaser, I bet the other way. If I know like I want some insurance on it,
I can't. Okay. No, I can't because you're losing profit. You're losing if you got a $500 teaser out there and you were super confident about it, and yet the game's close and you're a little worried about it. In the second half, that means you did your analysis a little wrong.
You just never know what's gonna happen. You really don't.
That's fair, but
you really don't.
You for the most part, as sharp bettors. And a lot of bettors will say you don't want to hedge your bet. You run with the confident numbers, the analysis, and for me, instinct and gut feeling that you have, and you have to run with it. Because over time, you're going to lose money. And that's why I almost never hedge.
And that's another reason why I don't do second half bets either.
I can't.
No. But we will get into that.
We'll do it for the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl and we got to cover a lot of time.
Get the squares ready, America.
Forget squares.
No.
Forget squares.
Oh my God, no! Squares are the best thing. Just 5 squares. That's all you need. 5 squares.
Expensive squares.
Oh, you can do expensive squares.
Expensive squares.
I just dropped 50. It was so crazy. No, it was a regular guest came to my bar and just say, hey, my company's doing squares. Like, how many squares a piece? It's like 5.
I can't do squares. It's
Well, I think it was like $10.
Can you imagine?
Squares.
Can you imagine
like,
last year's squares?
Dude, I was so upset with those squares. I was just like, F. Can't be cursing on this YouTube video. There could be children under 18 that are watching this.
Hopefully not.
I
marked it as this is not content for kids because obviously we're talking about gambling. We don't want kids gambling. So even if you're not sweating on your bet like this one, KC -1 and Green Bay plus 13.5. But we'll keep an eye on the lines a little bit. I think the totals may start to may keep moving another point or two. Also, KC might go up again to 7.5, and Green Bay, the Green Bay San Francisco game might go up to 8, possibly depending on injury reports and everything. So keep an eye on everything, and then come Sunday, look at the line that you're going to get, and wherever you are, if you're off, if you're offshore book, or if you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or Nevada, you're going to have different lines at different places. So find where you can make your best combination and then make your teaser run from there. Or just bet some of these straight up if you want, but I would not want to bet any of these straight up personally.
Don't do that.
The only one you can bet straight up is the money line for Green Bay. That's really the only value.
The comeback is real, America. We're going to get it this week.
I would love to hit a teaser and a money line like I did in week 4 or 5. I would love to do that again. That would be a great comeback for both of us. I'm hoping for it.
I just wish they would pay us in fantasy again. Oh man, that was such a good week.
That was a good week. We should talk a little bit more about fantasy once it comes up. I think that should be like your side of the channel. That'd be cool, right?
Yeah, that would be a little cool.
But then maybe that's a little something, little teaser. A little teaser for you.
By the way, yes. So if Danny's not going to tell you, please like, subscribe, tell your friends, your degenerate friends, or your friends that like to make money.
I had a graphic running that says if you like this video
down there. Hold on, wait.
No, it's like right here. It's like a little lower. It's like right there.
And could you go ahead and post edit, put a paper bag over mine?
It takes too much time. I'll go get you a paper bag later for next week.
Or
2 weeks. Sorry.
Very shameful. Yeah. But America, hopefully this video has been insightful for you guys. Once again, Dan and I always want to bring you guys the best value, and I think this week, because of the way we think and the way we kind of portray these teams, the information that we give out to you, it's just information. Yeah. There's information that's gathered everywhere.
Yeah, but you have to take all of it into consideration, what makes sense, what doesn't, and then put that along the lines of betting. And then that's where you get your total bet, and that's why we come up with a no sweat bet, because if everything makes sense, if where there's smoke, there's fire. So if you've got 10 different things,
I like that.
If there's 10 different things that say this leans towards KC, yeah, you should bet KC in this teaser. And that's where I feel like the best value in a teaser comes is if all of your information leans towards a team, tease it because it's insurance.
Yep.
And probably later on in videos, we'll get into a little bit more information about teasers, like key numbers, like I've been talking about, where their value is, where you probably shouldn't bet it, because we want that information out there, because there's just not as much of that information out there.
Right.
But until then, till Super Bowl, enjoy the games on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of exciting action. I don't think either game's going to be really boring. I think they're going to be close. I think there's going to be a lot of drama. Outside of somebody getting hurt, I think it's gonna be a fun one this weekend.
Outside of me pulling my hair if things don't go my way, but they will because we did the work.
We've got the numbers and we feel like we're behind it. KC -1 and Green Bay +13. That's where we stand, and that's probably the bet that we're gonna take as well. But until Super Bowl weekend, Super Bowl week comes up, it's Andrew Chang over here. I'm Daniel Saludo. Make all of your analysis, get your bets in when it comes time, and don't forget to be a tease.